I want to talk to you guys about perception. Perception is can be kind of a deception at times. So how you perceive yourself, how you perceive your training partner or your opponent in a match. There's a lot of different ways we can talk about perception, but I just want to give you guys a little story. So recently I've been looking at some of my competitions from 2017, 2016 on Flow Grappling and YouTube. Flow Grappling is a great place because you just type in your name and you can find all your matches from some of the bigger tournaments. And I was looking at some of the matches, some that I won, some that I lost, and thinking about how I felt in those matches at the time, how I remembered those matches, and then just kind of taking a look from as a third person, looking at the matches and studying what happened within the match. And the reality was how I remembered the match, and maybe even how I felt, my perception of what was going on within the match was a lot different than what it looked like as a third person, just observing critically the match itself. And so I think it's really important to understand that your perception in the moment could be totally different than what is actually going on. Authors and writers, philosophers like to talk about these different perspectives, right? An event happens and you have A and B, the two people that were involved in the event, and then you have an observer, somebody who's walking by who witnesses the event partially, and then you have the observation of a bird who saw the event, and then maybe some divine power or God who actually saw the event. And everyone's perception it can be a little bit different based on maybe how they're feeling that day, based on a lot of different factors. But I think the most important thing, so within that, right, is to not be deceived, with your perception, is to not allow yourself to be deceived in a negative way. You always want to spin your perception in a way that makes you think strong. And I think that's probably the most important. So if you're gonna deceive yourself, right? Maybe you're fighting a battle that you should be losing, but your perception, you're deceiving yourself into thinking that it's a battle or a match that you should win, right? That it's gonna be a good match and you're gonna win that match, even though maybe you're fighting and competing horribly. But if you let it spin in the opposite direction or in another way, where you let your perceptions let you think that you're fighting an uphill battle, everything's stacked against you. Now you're deceiving yourself. Even a match that in a match where you could win, you're kind of rooting against yourself. You're cheering against yourself, and you're not thinking strong. So kind of a good little mantra that I have for myself is to tell myself to think strong, right? Think strong, and that reminds me to have that, to give myself the deception, to give myself the perception that this is a match that I should win, and no matter what happens, I'm going at it, And you kind of see matches like that sometimes where there's two guys, and person A maybe is like a very accomplished grappler, and person B is not as accomplished. And you can just kind of sense that person A, even though person A might be losing in the beginning of the match, like person A finds a way to get the submission or to get ahead in points and win at the end of the match, just because they have the perception that they've convinced themselves that they are the ones that should win the match. So you can just as well do that for yourself, just as easily as that person A who feels entitled to win. You just need to have that perception and think strong.